Okay. Meetings, and it is not to talk about any of the developments, but it's about to talk about things in what's happening in the community, in our district, and things that are important for you to know. One of the main things is how your district is going to change. They're changing the proposal from planning is to change our district quite a bit. But they do listen very much to the input of the community. So I will say to you, when it is time for that one to come, what's so funny, John? When it's time for that part, and we can't hear you. Oh, I can't believe it. No, that's okay. Stay muted.
I've seen my buddy of the past 30 years here.
And, oh, okay.
I just.
Well, I'm glad other people are on here, and maybe some new people. I know there's some names I haven't seen. So planning is going to be the last thing to go up. Why does my phone keep ringing? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's going to be the last thing to go up. I don't know if you've got the number, Roseanne, if you can hear me. Judge Allegra was just trying to call me. I think she was trying to get on the meeting. So if you could text her and see what was up and just let her know I'm in the middle of the meeting.
I sure will.
Thank you so much. So today, and I hear some other people coming in. Thank you so much for coming. We are going to have Commander Stevens. Of course, he always comes and talks to us about the racing is one of the big things, because we're having that in all of our communities, and the the crime and different things like that. But we also have from the Sheriff's Department, Michael Raines. Mr. Raines, are you on here yet? I don't see his name on the side, so he may not be here yet. But the Sheriff's Department is another that can help you with trash when you have large items on the side of the road that you may see, that you can call them to come pick that up as well. But he was going to speak a little bit about that. I also have the new Nashville Department of Transportation. I still want to say Public Works. I can't get out of that yet, but Mr. Fields is going to be here. I don't think I see his name. Yes, I do. See,
I'm here.
There we are. Thank you. He's going to be here to speak to you all a little bit about the trash, and when you see stuff, who to call, how to do that, and also on the roads, our potholes, and who to contact about that. I also have Mr. Honeysuckle. I don't think I see him yet, but he's going to talk about whatever he wants to. You know how he is when he comes on.
I'm here.
We love him. There he is. We love him. But I think he is also going to spend a little bit talking about trash as well, along with whatever else he wants to talk about. Then we've got from planning, who is actually going to talk to us about the proposed changes in our district, and that is Greg Claxton. And I do know sometimes, and welcome, Greg. I do know sometimes the mayor's office may have somebody on the line to see what's going on with the meetings. Do I have anybody else from any of the metro offices that I did not recognize? All right, then I am going to, thank you again, everybody, for coming. I know there are probably several meetings going on. I'm going to turn it over to Commander Stevens, and then I don't see Michael Raines yet. So I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
He's here. He's on.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Raines, and I didn't know, Officer Sergeant, I didn't know what to call you. Please forgive me. But I'm going to ask you to go after Commander Stevens.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I am Commander Stevens of the South Precinct. I do recognize a lot of your names, so your regular attendees. I always love getting invited to council. Lady Lee's District 33 meeting, I can tell you this, I hate to hear there's going to be changes in the district for the simple fact that you have one of the best districts in the county, in my opinion. Believe it or not, crime wise, you're really, it's quiet compared to a lot of other districts. So let's talk about crime overall in South. In general, we have 69.5 square miles. The latest census reports over 170,000 people living in South alone. That's bigger than the city of Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, Brentwood, Franklin. We have a lot of people, as you know, by the traffic that you travel in South Nashville every day and on Murfreesboro Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard. We have a lot of cars crammed on our streets. So overall crime in South, and this is going back to January compared to last year, we're down 17% in overall crime, which is wonderful. We have more officers answering calls in South than we have in years. March 1st, we're going to do a new bid. We're going to have 17 additional officers added to South with the allocation of more people living here. We need more officers. I could still tell you one major issue that we have is right now we have about 40 calls pending in South, and we only have 13 officers working the street right now. And a lot of the calls require 2 officers at a time. So obviously there's a lot of calls holding, but as far as crime itself, we're down 17%. More specifically for your neighborhoods in District 33, for violent crime across the nation, violent crime is up. I think a lot of it has to do with the pandemic. I just see the numbers, people are at home more often. Domestic violence cases are up, but violent crime specifically for UCR crime, homicides in your district are down 100%. We've only had 1 for the entire year. 1 is too many. And I can tell you in this case, it was a tragic case. It was a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old that were playing with a handgun. That handgun was stolen from a car out of the Midtown Hills precinct over off of, I believe, Noblesville Pike. They were playing with the gun goes off, and the 16-year-old was unfortunately shot and killed. And the 17-year-old was charged with his murder. So that's the one case that we have. So I always like to transition being responsible with your weapons, making sure that you lock your guns up. I can tell you this, just this year, 1,051 guns have been stolen from vehicles in Nashville. More than 1,000 guns have been taken out of cars. So we have to do a better job as citizens. If you're going to carry a gun, I ask that you be responsible. We need you to be responsible. Commercial robberies are down 100%. We've had 0 commercial robberies in this district this year. So for the business owners, that's outstanding. Street robberies, we've had 11. I mean, still 11 is a lot when you think about it, but when you have 170,000 people living in South, 11 in this district is actually down 30% for the year, which is really good numbers. Aggravated assaults is one area we are up. An aggravated assault would be if I threaten someone with a weapon. We're having a ton of road rage incidents right now across Nashville and the country. And that can be classified as an aggravated assault if I use my weapon or if I get mad at you and I point my gun at you, that'll be ag assault. So we're up 20%. We're up right now, let's see, 22 cases for the year. So that's something that we have to do better at. Gunshot injuries in the district, we've had 3 since January. That's pretty good overall. We're down 33%. And then for property crimes, commercial burglaries down 69%. So that once again, the business owners, you're not having your business broke into as much. So I'm happy about that. Residential burglaries are down 16%. We've had 25 in the district, which is a really, really good number when you think about how many houses, how many apartments are in District 33. Motor vehicle theft is down 32%. Theft overall is down 5%. So overall, the district is with crime is down. So that's great numbers. We're always going to continue to try to do better. That's our goal. But when I look at what we can do as citizens, what you can do at your house is, number one, if you have camera, if you have videos, if you have any evidence of any crime that you see, share it with us. I'll put this information, my email in the chat. I'll put my community coordinator here, Sergeant Izmelovich, Denny. I'll put his phone number in here as well if you have any information on crimes or anything in your neighborhoods. I get a lot of complaints about cars being parked illegally or tractor trailers parked in neighborhoods when they shouldn't be. Report those to us. Hub Nashville, I'll just praise that little app on the phone you could put on. You could report almost anything on Hub Nashville. And they do come to us. We get a slew of reports every morning of someone that went onto the website or the app and reported cars being broken down in the neighborhood or suspicious activity or loud music. We do respond to all of those calls. The council lady also mentioned street racing and issues we've had. Due to finances, we were running a street racing initiative every weekend, especially in the summer months, because we literally had the street racers showing up every weekend. That's calmed down a lot. We do have undercover officers that do watch social media and find out when they're coming a lot. So we'll have a plan in place. This past weekend, we had a street racing initiative where we arrested numerous people, wrote a lot of tickets. The problem with this group, when they get together, there's normally 40, 50, 60 cars, as you probably see on the roadways. They get together, we pull in, they all take off. We've had great success with the aviation unit, the helicopter, following them until they stop, and then we take them into custody. But it still is an issue. I don't see it not being an issue. We just have to continue to do everything that we can to prevent it. As far as, like I said, and a lot of that has to do with like the safety on the streets. What I want to tell you for you, how can you not be a crime victim? When you go grocery shopping, when you get home, look around your house, make sure that your house is well lit. Make sure that someone knows where you're going if you're going out at night. Like I said, don't engage in reckless drivers. If someone is driving reckless around you or riding your bumper or cuts you off, I could just say over and over and just beg you, do not engage, because it's just safer, period. Call us if you can get a tag number, jot down the tag number, call 615-862-8600. We'll do our best to get to that area and try to stop the car or whatever they're doing. But if you engage, all you're doing is just asking for a confrontation. And, people now, as of July 1st, are able to carry handguns in their car legally. And I promise you just don't want to deal with that. So I've thrown a lot at you in a little bit of time. I'll put my email address in here, our phone number here at South. Does anyone have any questions? I always want to open the table up and the floor up for questions. If Council Lady Lee, if you're okay with that, if anyone has any specific questions, or if you have one, you okay with that? Does anyone have any questions for me?
I know some that I have heard. Let me ask you this. If folks know a particular dead end or something, I have had some that said they have reported that and then nothing happens. So if they can report it and give a certain time, because it's most likely not during the daytime, it's at night when cars come and sit there, another car will come and you make an assumption, but you know what's really going on. That's a problem we've had in the areas where there are dead ends.
Correct. Yes. If you see that call, a lot of people have Ring or whatever, home surveillance you have, use that, send that to us. It is scary. I mean, you don't know what they're doing at the dead end. So let us know where they are. Let us know if there's a certain car that comes here. Obviously there is some drug dealing that does go on. If you see a certain car that pulls into the neighborhood at the same time every night or whatever that may be, that report it to us. We do have undercover officers that'll be in your neighborhoods that can look. It's my goal. We're understaffed as the police department. Chief Drake, I know the mayor is working on getting, and the council members are working on getting more officers, but we truly need double the police officers on the street when you look at how many people we have. So I could tell you that every night the officers are going from call to call to call. But if you have something suspicious, don't be afraid to call. And then I know sometimes you're like, well, the police never showed up. Well, a lot of times it may not be a marked police unit that does show up. It may be an unmarked car, but we will come. email is a great way to get us, leave us a phone number, leave us a message, but we want to be responsive. But it's my goal to have more officers in your neighborhoods. You want to be able to look out and see police in your neighborhood. So that's our goal. We're working on that. Our recruitment division's doing an excellent job on getting more officers hired. We're just doing the best we can. So that's a great question. Anyone
I
else?
appreciate that. I
Yes.
think John has a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Stern.
Commander, I appreciate the difficult situation that you're presented with.
Thank you.
You state that we could use double the officers on the street that we currently have. And I see no evidence otherwise. In fact, it might be a underestimation. But sir, how do we get the number of officers needed to work in Southeast Nashville?
So that's definitely a challenging question. Just traveling around the country, people are not applying to be police officers like they did 5, 6, 7 years ago. Firemen, everybody loves a fireman. They have 2,000, 3,000 applications at any time. They have one opening. They have 3,000 people to pick from. And it used to be that way. When I was at the training academy, when I first got to the training academy, we literally had hundreds and hundreds would apply. The problem is people, and a lot of it's media, a lot of it's negative. But I just want to encourage you, if you know someone of any age, it doesn't matter how old, how young, we will hire you if you want to go to the police academy. It's tough, it's challenging, but we need good people. And there's a lot of people on here that say, I think the police department can do better. Well, I say, come apply, join us, help us. We need more help, but really it's a lack of qualified candidates that are putting in. And our background recruiters we've added more people there because, if you do apply, it shouldn't take you a year to get hired here. So they're cutting down that time. And, I could see progress. I see real progress. We're now recruiting lateral police officers. So if you worked in Murfreesboro or Mount Juliet or Brentwood and you want to come to our police department, they're cutting down the time there for them in the police academy. So we are doing it. We're making progress, but I could tell you just the numbers on the street. We've had 389 police officers on patrol for years. Now we're going up to like 480, and we need more than that. Our numbers for the city, we've grown so much, right? And we need so many more. We need to be visible on every street in every neighborhood, and we need to be responsive. And you need to know that if you call the police, that we will be there in a timely manner. And that's what we want to. So if you know someone that's interested, have them apply. We'll do everything that we can to get them in the police academy as soon as we can.
Just know that we're
Thank you,
pushing
sir.
on south on this. We're just know that we're pushing it on Southeast Nashville side. So
We're trying to bring them here.
With you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Stern.
Thank you. I see that I have another question, but before I do, I want to recognize, I think one of the school board members that also represents part of 33 just got on. Ms. Peters, Frida, Player Peters. I think I saw
Everyone,
her.
good to see you.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you for joining us. Melissa, I think you had a question.
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
there.
Melissa.
Hi. I had a question. I see a lot of, and I know you're understaffed, it's just a lot of people are running the red lights. They're just running it. Like it gets to red and there's like 2, 3, 4 cars that go with it. Like it's just crazy. Like it's so dangerous. My husband and I, we really don't go on green right away because it's a given that people are running the stoplights consistently and we never see any officers. And I understand you're understaffed, but how are you working on that? Like, is there a proposal to try to get that under control, cameras or something?
Well, thank you, Melissa. I hope Nick's doing okay. It's good to see you. And it is frustrating. We had motor officers at each precinct. Been moved since out of our precinct. Now they work for the traffic division. So we no longer have motor officers. They were kind of my go-to when it comes to, hey, we're getting complaints of a lot of people running a red light at Hobson and Murfreesboro. They would go there. So now we're having to task our police officer, our patrol officers for doing that. So instead of answering calls, they go through traffic enforcement. And there's not a lot of time to do that. So our traffic enforcement numbers are down. It is dangerous. We've done studies on red light cameras. I know Murfreesboro has some, but truthfully, I was in traffic division for a couple of years. We see there's actually more crashes that happen when you have red light cameras because people come to sudden stops, they get rear-ended. So all I can say, I'm never going to make being understaffed an excuse, because it's not. I want you to be safe. I've got a 16-year-old driver on the street now. My son just got his license. It's scary. It's scary for me. It's scary for him and you as well. So I'm asking our officers, if they see someone driving reckless, if they see someone run a red light or a stop sign, to make a stop. So we will try to do our part. If you see that, get a tag number and call, because I can send it to our traffic division. They can send a letter. It's kind of like a verbal warning that they can do that as well. So we can follow up that way. But be our eyes on the street. And I know you do a fantastic job, Melissa, in your neighborhood, reporting things to us. So please just keep that great communication up. And thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sir, Commander, are you going to be around till the end in case there are other questions?
I got to work at 6 a.m. and I plan on heading to the
I
house.
understand.
That's okay, but I'm going to put my email and I'll put my phone number and Denny's. And if y'all need anything else, I'll be more than happy to get back with you. But I do
I
appreciate
that.
and thank you for what you do, Council Lady Lee and Miss Rosie. I know you're on here. Thank you for what you do, and everybody else. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I appreciate you so much as well. I'm going to turn it over now. I think we've got Sheriff Raines.
Yes, ma'am.
There we are. Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, I think I just basically got asked to appear concerning some of the programs that we offer as far as bulk items and litter
Yes,
removal
sir.
and things of that nature. We have, in my 34 years here, we've always offered this program. It's free of charge. And what we will do is we'll come to your home. You know, if you're cleaning out the garage or getting rid of a piece of furniture or, you know, anything of that nature, you can call our office. We'll schedule an appointment with you. If you put it out by the roadside, and we'll come by and remove that free of charge. We also will address some, you know, if it's illegal dumping, if you have anything, you know, where people have, you know, unfortunately in all areas of the county, it seems that under the darkness of night, a lot of people pull up and unfortunately illegal dump. And, you know, if we can come out and help in those ways. And then in a lot of instances, especially pre-COVID, like everyone, we actually had the minimal offenders out picking up litter and cleaning up, you know, the roadsides. So that's, you know, basically what we, you know, would typically do out of that division that I'm overseeing.
Yes, sir. Thank you so very much. Does anybody have any questions? Sir, thank you so much again for coming on with us.
All right, thank you.
Now, Mr. Honeysucker.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I am multitasking. Everybody, I think, is pretty familiar with me. I have John Honeysucker, John Stearns. You know, I'm taking over another part. So I'm the new assistant director of waste services and recycling, trash and recycling for the Metro. I'm still also the council liaison for Metro Water. And thanks to my good buddy, Billy Fields, who has relieved me of my duties as council liaison for NDOT, formerly Public Works. I'm excited about that. I do want to give you kind of an update on what's going on with trash. Southeast has been impacted in an adverse way with our trash collector, which is Red River. As you know, about 2.5 weeks ago, they filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is a form of restructuring for them, which is the service hasn't been great prior to me taking over, but it's still not even great now. So one thing that I'm doing in the midst of their restructuring, I am looking at setting up a contingency plans, partnerships with other vendors. Red River has 70% of the market. That's something that will not happen again as long as it's under my jurisdiction. I will divide that up with 3 different vendors if it comes down to that, if they by any way default. Again, I'm putting a contingency plan in place, meeting with other vendors. So if they walk off and leave, we will have someone in place to pick up right away, so it won't be a gap and we won't have trash inundating the streets. Also, with the convenience centers and different things like that, we have 10 drop-off centers and 4 recycle centers. With the way our fleet issues have been going, and this is not just in Nashville, this is just parts and staffing has been really hard to come by. We've had some issues with our Metro-owned trucks that I've taken initiative with the support of the council and the administration, been able to rent vehicles that have come in to do our front load work, our front loaders, and also to keep our convenience centers and drop-off centers to where they're not overflowing with trash throughout the day. So we're trending in a good direction with that. It is a lot of work to be done. There are a lot of challenges ahead. So I am open for any questions you all might have for me. John Stearns, I know you have one, if not 2, so go ahead and get yours out first.
Well, I just commend you for taking on solid waste. If I remember in the old days, Mr. Fields had some oversight of that function, but I wish you the best of luck. And I think that if we can concentrate on, recycling the materials that are actually recyclable and focus on picking up the rest, you're probably in the right rein. And I think you are perfectly capable of managing this function. And I appreciate you taking on this kind of smelly task. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that, John. One thing that I do, I love a challenge. That's something I'll never run from is a challenge. And I feel like this, since coming aboard with Waste Services, we've hit rock bottom. I'm going to be totally transparent. And that's the great thing about my relationship with the council, all of them. They understand that. I've been transparent with them. They don't have to guess what's going on with me and within this division. They know. I'm going to tell them, this is where we at. This is what we need. I can't spend a lot of time focusing on how did it get to this point. I can go from this point on and focus on how to offer a solution, how to fix this. And it's going to take revamping and changing mindsets and mainly culture of what people have been used to and accustomed to. And I'll be transparent with all of you. The fleet that we have, it was unsafe for the road. And I literally had to pull a lot of trucks off the road. And with the support of the administration and council, just as of tonight, they were able to allot me some money for rental trucks in order to keep things functioning in a safe way. I refuse to put my workers in an unsafe position and any constituents on the road. So I think that's important. We have to build that credibility and confidence back up in the workers in order for them to do a good job.
Thank you so much, John. And I know I feel better with you in that spot because now I know exactly that I have somebody there to call and who to call on what. So I know it's a lot for you wearing 2 hats, but it's a big help for me because whenever I call, you always get back to me and let me know where I should call and direct my my information, my question to that person so that they know they need to answer back. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
And just a reminder, tomorrow is a holiday. So for those that will put their trash cans out on Thursday, just wait because we're 1 day behind because tomorrow's official holiday. So just FYI for those.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, so next we have Greg Claxton from the Metro Planning, and he is going to, planning is the one that did the redrawing of the district. So he is going to talk about what's going on with our district. And if you have any questions, if you like it, let him know. If you don't like something about it, let him know. They do listen to the comments from the constituents, and that is very important. So don't look at something and just say, scratch your head and say, I'll wonder about it later. He's here now. He needs to hear what you're thinking about. Greg? It's
Thank
on
you,
you.
Councilmember. Great. Thanks for having me this
Thank you.
evening. I've dropped a link. I did want to ask if it works for you. I've got a slideshow I can walk through, or I can just kind of talk people generally through. I just need permissions to share my screen.
Ms. Rosie, can you give him permission to share the screen? I think it may be better if people have something to look at.
While we're waiting on that, just a little bit of background. Redistricting is something that goes on in cities, counties, states throughout the country every 10 years. It
Greg?
usually.
Greg, I am so sorry. While Rosie is fixing the screen for you, I skipped something. And this is the new Department of Transportation. Mr. Fields, you were just going to let me go on. You probably said, well, I'm glad she's gone, but no, I'm coming back to you. I'm so sorry I skipped you. Mr. Billy Fields, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am. I did not think you were skipping me. I always defer to the council person. So I'm prepared for whatever, but what I can tell you, and I apologize for my voice, I'm in quarantine right now. And
Oh, poor thing.
well, I hope I'll be okay.
Me too.
Where we, as everybody knows, Public Works no longer exists, and it's the Nashville Department of Transportation and multimodal issues. And so we're really focusing our time as a department on the issues that you would think we would. My particular part of the department is transportation licensing. So I'm the guy with the taxi cabs and tow trucks and that sort of thing. But I also have the pedal carriages and the other fun things down on Broadway. But what I would tell you, the main thing that I'm also doing is I'm the liaison to the Metro Council, at least for a while. And Mr. Honeysucker is he's been teaching me how to do that, and I'm appreciative of it. If you have an issue, like a road issue, a right-of-way issue, the simplest way to get it to us is go to Hub Nashville. As Commander Stevens mentioned earlier, Hub Nashville collects your data. It's intuitive. You can fill out the forms. It'll go straight to the departments or the agencies it needs, whether it's us or something else in government. You can also dial 615-862-5000, and that will also go to a call center, and you're going to be able to file if you've got a pothole. It's going to get to the right person. So we're doing that. If you have questions, I will. Miss Lee, I'm not sure I can answer, but if I don't know the answer, I will collect it. I will get that answer and I will get it back to you so you can get it back to your constituent. But we're here we're trying to get better. We're looking at a lot of things. We're reorganizing. We're trying to get people hired. So NDOT is working, and we're going to continue to provide better and better service. I'm confident.
Well, I have one question. I see Mr. Stern has a question as well. There was a lady that when there was a pothole, because there are a lot of potholes and different things like that in our area, the roads are terrible. But there was a lady that I could just reach out and call her and she would have that fixed. Are you now that person?
You were probably talking about Miss Stacy Jones would be my guess. But if not, for you, I am absolutely that person. So you reach out to me, send me an email or give me a call, and I'm going to do that.
Thank you. John, you had a question?
Yeah, it's a little more difficult, Mr. Fields.
He's been asking me hard questions for 40 years.
That's a fact. That is a fact. And we've actually been finding solutions for 40 years, which is the important part of that equation. So one of the things we're challenged with right now is looking at data-driven decision-making out here in Southeast Nashville, which is about 6 council districts that we're looking at. And so we're looking for information regarding the ratings of intersections throughout the Southeast. That would be very helpful to have we've found one source, and it's not, it doesn't show us in a very good light. So anything you do to help us with information about A, what's going on with vehicular travel, but also B, what is existing for multimodal and future multimodal infrastructure out here. That would be really helpful, sir.
What I'm going to do, we have a brand new chief engineer in Nashville. Brad Freeze came on board last week. He has been a stalwart at TDOT for a lot of years. And I've gotten to meet with him a couple of times already, and I've been very impressed with him. What I'm going to do is get with him. I may just
Whenever you can.
but at least by Friday morning, I will get in touch with him. I'll share your question. I also have all of your numbers. And what I'm going to do is try to connect you directly with somebody who knows answers rather than me try to interpret, because you know my interpretation of it. I'll make that happen.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mr.
Any help
Fields.
you could give to Southeast Nashville, we appreciate.
We're going to do that.
And
I
I will
promise.
ask Mr. Fields, if it is something that this person wants to send out information-wise, it may be helpful if you just give it to Rosie so that she can share it with everybody that was on this call, on the Zoom.
Happy to do that. She is
Thank you.
most efficient employee in Metro government. Happy to do that.
I love me some Rosie. Yes, sir. Thank you so very much. Greg, I am so sorry that I did that. I hope you have enough time now, because I know it's going to be a lot, and I hope you all figured out how to share your screen.
I have not people through generally what we're doing, what's going on, and where you can go to see kind of in detail what the draft maps have for you. So just for a little bit of background, redistricting is a process that cities, counties, states throughout the country go through every 10 years. The core idea of it is once we get kind of updated data from the census showing kind of where the population is throughout the country, that we are looking to make sure that different districts in a jurisdiction, so all of the council districts or all of the school board districts in Nashville have about the same population. Under the principle of one person in the 1960s, the core idea is if one district is very, very large and another district is very, very small, that the people in the large district by population are less represented. And so, you know, kind of when we got the census data this year, well, let me pause there. For Metro Nashville, the responsibility for redistricting is set by the charter. The charter assigns it to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission makes a recommendation for Metro Council. We're looking at this for council districts as well as for the MNPS school board. We don't have anything to do with state or federal redistricting. And then I also want to make clear that what we're contemplating really only affects the political districts. It doesn't affect anything else, like attendance zones, where your kid goes to school. It doesn't reshape the police precinct. Kind of who is your community that you're working together to think through who you want to represent you in the next election. So as we go through this process, we took a look at what the new census, on average, kind of what's called the average district size needs to be about 20,000 people. We can vary that by about 1,000 people in either direction. What we found is that there was the spread in district sizes from the smallest district to the largest district was way too wide. It was about 6 times what we can do. To make that really.
Greg,
Yep.
Rosie said that she changed you, so you may be able to put that up so people can see what you're talking about now.
Got it. I've got it now. Thank you. All right. Okay. And so kind of we took a look at the range of population sizes and found that kind of the range from the largest district to the smallest district was way too wide. In particular, and so what the map on here is showing kind of how far off different districts are from the average size. So all of the districts in yellow are kind of within the allowable range. The districts in blue are too small. The districts in red are too large. You put down here in Southeast, if you put 31, the population of 31, 32, 33, and 29 together, those 4 districts have almost as many people as 5 districts should. And so what that means is that the residents in Southeast, because of the level of population growth in these, primarily the 3 districts down here, are substantially underrepresented on Metro Council. And so that's the core thing that we're looking to overcome, to get the population in each district a little closer together. As we do that, there's a number of other standard sort of redistricting criteria that we use, that we take a look at how we shape new district boundaries. So we want them to be relatively compacting and contiguous. That just means we want them to be not have funny shapes for no good reason. We want to try to keep them kind of where they've been historically. So we don't want to move districts and put people into new districts again any more than we need to. We have to comply with the Rights Act, so we draw lines in a way of their choosing. And then last, we try to respect communities of interest. Primarily for us, practically speaking, that's going to mean that we try to keep neighborhoods together. Now, all of these different criteria that we have are in tension, and so there's always going to be kind of compromises. And no map is going to kind of do everything perfectly. So, that's one of the reasons that we go through kind of the public engagement process, is to find out, kind of as we work from one draft to another, how are we doing? Are there big concerns? Where do people see kind of alternatives for how we put the lines together? So this is the map of the current council districts. Overall, kind of the big thing that we were grappling with is, in addition to the districts in South being very large, population-wise, District 19, the downtown district, was the largest district. It was also very large, but then all of the districts north of the river. So this is 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 too small population wise. And so we were looking for, how do you bring those into balance? The river is a very important boundary. We have trouble crossing that except where there's a bridge. And so we looked at a bunch of different ways of doing that. Ultimately, the thing that resulted in fewer people moving into a new district was to shift District 8, which is up here in Madison, from Madison to a portion of District 30, Murfreesboro, and Percy Priest Lake. And so this is kind of the proposal B. I'm gonna show you this in detail for the Southeast area around District 33 in just a moment. But a couple of things I wanna make clear. This is just a draft for public review. We have not scheduled anything for adoption yet. We are actively taking feedback on it. I'll show you kind of how you can provide comments on that in a moment. Once new boundaries have been adopted, they will in essence take effect upon the next council election in August of 2023. So current council members, including Councilmember Lee, will continue to represent their current districts that elected them until August of 2023. At that point, new representatives after that election will come in and represent those districts. And so here is kind of the zoom in on District 33. You can see the current districts current district is on the left, and so you can see it's a pretty broad district along the boundary down here, from kind of Carruthers and Burkett across I-24, across Murfreesboro, over to Percy Priest Lake, and then over to the area on the other side of the lake across Hobson Pike. And so on the right, you can see kind of how we've reconfigured things in this current draft. And again, this is what we're seeking input on either tonight, or if you want to think about it or take a closer look on our website. But in essence, kind of how we've reworked things in this draft is the area east of Percy Priest Lake is now in District 12. We relocated District 8 from the lake. We have brought District 32 down between Murfreesboro and I-24 to the county line. And then we've kind of reconfigured kind of this area around Cane Ridge, Century Farms, Blue Hole, and the kind of Burkett neighborhoods in Carruthers Crossing into a new draft District 33. We recognize that this is a big shift. District changed a lot. We changed the most. And I always say, well, District 8 changed the most. But then after that, I always highlight District 33 as a big shift as well. Now, as we've done this, we've tried to use as much as we can really clear boundaries. So we're not trying to sort of create, sort of artificial configurations of neighborhoods. We've tried to use the lake, Murfreesboro, I-24 as the major boundaries as much as we can. Thinking about kind of the communities within that, whether you're in the new District 8, the new 32, the new 33, we're interested to, kind of get your feedback on how that works. I do want to caution though, leaving District 33 as it was is not available because that district, this district represented so many people to prevent substantial underrepresentation down here. We do need to find a way to scale it down in size. And so I dropped a link to our website. We've tried, however you're comfortable thinking about kind of political districts, you can probably find some information there. What I'm showing here is an online comparison tool of the previous draft. You can draft. You can zoom in and take a look at your particular neighborhood and see what district that you're in. You can also see demographics here. And then there's an opportunity to rate and comment on the district. So if you've got a suggestion for a different place to draw a boundary, you can let us know that and we'll take a look at it. We've also got PDFs of maps. We've got Excel charts with kind of population information. We've tried to put as many different ways of understanding it as we can. We've also got kind of more detailed background videos on all of the things that go into it. The last thing I'll highlight also on our website is our email address, or there's a link where you can sign up for updates. This is the best way to find out kind of as we're moving ready to have a new draft come out or begin the adoption process. I'm hoping that we'll have information in the next couple of days about sort of further opportunities for public comment on this draft over the next couple of weeks, as well as the timeline that we're looking at for adoption. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
I just have one, and I don't see any hands, but I'm sure they'll have some, but I have one. There was a proposal A and a proposal B. I thought the second proposal, some had changed, but I don't think I see that. So did it change any? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. So this is, I think I mentioned briefly, this is our second draft. We had an initial draft that we put out in mid-October, and we took comments on that for about 2 weeks. And then we got the second draft out. What we tried to do was primarily address areas that we heard a lot of feedback on. So we heard a fair amount about district. We heard a lot in kind of the northern part of the county. And so we made changes there to try to incorporate what we heard. We haven't heard as much for District 33. And so that was one of the reasons I wanted to come out and talk to y'all tonight. We talked to a few people when we had our meeting at the Southeast Community Library, but we didn't have as many sort of specific, can you do this, can you do that kinds of changes. And so we didn't change kind of the new District 33 too much. We made some shifts over.
So that's what my question was.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, and that's why I wanted to invite you and have this meeting for the community to hear it and be able to. So my question was in that A and that B. So District 33 didn't really change from that. It's the same.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Are there other questions?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, I was listening. I'm not in front of my computer, so I can't really look at the map in great detail. You mentioned District 33 over near Cane Ridge. Did you mention the sort of Old Hickory slash Nolensville Road as around Lenox Village area? And is that changing?
So that is still in District 31.
Okay, and is that area changing? You mentioned that some
Some
groups
one has
are
changed, but
underserved.
Lenox Village is. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. I think my connection cut out for a moment. I didn't hear if there's a question that she had at the end of that.
Yes, sorry. It's the signal is going in and out. But I was just asking, are there any changes around the Lenox Village area? And also, you said that you were collapsing some districts that were being underserved. Can you
That's
hear
right.
me?
Yes. So there are no changes around the Lenox Village area. That's still in District 31. But if you want to take a look at our website, redistrict.nashville.gov,
Yes.
There's a side-by-side viewer where you can zoom in and take a close look and make sure that like all of the area that you're interested in is still kind of in that district, or if it has changed.
Are you in District 33? Are you suggesting that there will be another Metro Council representative, since some of that the Cane Ridge area is moving into District 33?
So 33, I mean, that would, the boundaries for 33 would shift. In the next election, I think Councilmember Lee would be eligible to run again and sort of compete for your vote. Where the big change would happen is on the east side of Murphy Zone. That would be a new council district, essentially without an incumbent in there. So that would be sort of an open seat.
Thank you.
It looks like John's hand is up.
I can't see the hand, so.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, sorry, because I've got sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Claxton. First of all, I appreciate, having been a participant in some of these redistricting in the past, I appreciate the web-based interaction that you have provided. It's very intuitive, and it's very helpful in looking at these things. What I'm concerned about is that District 31 includes some part of what we consider to be Tusculum, which is north of Bell Road. And the other consideration is that in areas 31, 32, 33, and 8, we are probably looking at significantly more population growth here than is expected, and wondering how you integrated the population growth into these new divisions.
Sure. So by law, we're required to use census data to draw new district boundaries, and we really have to work with. We've got a little bit of flexibility. Like I said, we can kind of vary the districts by about plus or minus 1,000 people around the average district size. So in theory, we can take, could hold districts where we anticipate more growth low, and hold districts where we anticipate less growth a little bit high to anticipate that. We've done that on the north side. By and large, we haven't been able to do that as much down here. Here, simply to get all of you, try to have kind of relatively to hold these. Just we know is a factor. We hear about it in several different parts of town, including kind of the urban core, as well as areas that have sort of approved and permitted a lot of growth that hasn't shown up yet. But our ability to sort of really, in a specific, concrete way, take into account future growth is pretty constrained.
Okay, so I would ask that you do look at that 1,000 or 10% number and incorporate that into the 31 and 33 projections, bringing 31 down off of Northern Bell Road and bringing 33 back into let's see, Burkett at, say, Battle Road, back into 31. Thank you for your.
Sure, we can take a look at that. It'll help me if you could email like the specific boundaries you'd like to see us test or drop that in the survey. But I've tried to make a quick note here.
I appreciate that, Mr. Claxton.
Sure thing.
I also just want to say thank you for the online the Zoom call. I can't always, because of work, I can't always make it to the meetings that seem to be in the middle of the day. So I appreciate an opportunity to be a part in the latter part of the evening and online.
Of course, thanks to the council member for having me.
Any other questions about, or any of the constituents that are on here that will now, if this proposed one goes through, will not be in 33. There are a large amount of you that are on this call that's usually on 33 that will not be in 33 any longer. So do you have any questions there? Remember, he does want feedback on what you think. I've read some of you think this is a good idea, and I have heard that some of you don't. So please use this time to go ahead and express your opinions.
And I apologize, I'm just now seeing the comments in the chat. If you'd like, I can address those now, or I can add them into the public comments that we get when we report out in a couple of weeks.
Why don't you do both?
Okay. So I think the key thing with the area of 33 on the east side, incorporating that into District 29 from Mr. Abram, is that District 29 is already kind of on the large side. So that would essentially make it the size of 2 council districts. That's just kind of how many folks are over on that side of Murfreesboro. So it's difficult to kind of change it that way. If there's kind of a specific border shift that you're interested in, by all means, you can take our survey and tell us specifically on a map kind of where you'd like to see that change, and we can take a look. I see Miss Sanford's comments. I appreciate that. I think that's just a comment on appreciating the new boundaries. So I'll copy that out and take a closer look. Mr. Stern, I see your comment about Tusculum. We'll take a look at that as well. And so I don't see any other questions, just a couple of suggestions that we'll try to assess.
Well, it seems like we are running great on time. We've got about 2 minutes left. So I do see another hand. So I will leave the floor open if there are other questions. And I believe Laura had her hand up.
Hello, Laura Jean Marquis. I live in 33 right now off the end of Smith Springs. And I noticed on one of the redistricting maps, well, I will going forward be in 29. Currently, if I went down to the corner of Smith Springs and Anderson, I would be in 29. The new map, as I said, now I'd be in 29, which I'm fine with that. It makes sense to me. But now if I went down to that same corner where the map is and turned right, and I'm not seeing the map now, but I think then that would be 13, is that right? And it just seemed like that little peninsula was kind of, would make more sense to be in, and I know the boundaries have to go somewhere, but it looks like that would make more sense to have it in 29, because it does wrap around the lake a bit with, but anyway, was that changed again? I couldn't tell on the map.
Yeah, there was a peninsula that had been part of 29 off of Springs Road that in our first draft we had sort of explored including that in District 13. We got a
Okay.
fair amount of feedback from that, and the current draft proposal B, it is back in 29.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, it is 7 o'clock. I did not, when I introduced her before, I did not say anything. I don't know if our school board member wants to have a word, if she's still on here, because I think the proposal changes some of hers too. Or if there's anyone else that is from the mayor's office or the council that I didn't recognize that just wants to say hi to everybody before we decide to sign off.
I don't have anything, but my district does change. It really just goes the heart of Nolensville Road down to basically Harding, and it goes east out towards the airport. So I don't come far south as in Antioch, like I currently do. So if you have any comments, let myself or Mr. Claxton know. But I'm still around just for information, questions. Don't be afraid to answer. Ask questions. I'm available whether you're in my district or not. So thank you.
Could
Thank you,
Mr.
dear.
Claxton show us that?
Let me see what I've got. Yes, I can do a live demo of our website. And one thing I should say as I'm opening this up, we still only have one draft of the school board. We're working on a second one right now. Most of the comments that we got on proposal A were on the council districts. So we prioritize putting out a new district or a new map for that first. So this is the current district on the left for District 7. It runs from about Waverly Belmont in the 12 South neighborhood, across Nolensville, across I-24, across the airport, across the lake to the county line. And so what we've done here on the right side in proposal A is brought that in a lot to really focus on kind of the very diverse community between along Nolensville Pike and I-24. So this may shift a little bit more in the next draft, but we've tried to sort of focus this on that community as sort of a very distinct area within Nashville.
Well, I think as a community, we often do not look hard enough at what's going on in public schools. And I'm very interested in hearing the current commissioners, board members, ideas on how it should be laid out. The key issue is, does it represent the clusters of schools that the department has set out?
That was one of the big requests we got. We did a briefing to the school board over the summer, and something we heard kind of very consistently from school board members is to align more with the clusters. By and large, most clusters are much more aligned with school board districts now. One of the notable exceptions is actually District 7. So the Southeast clusters were a little bit more difficult to align. Like generally, I think the 4 clusters that we looked at are represented by 3 different board members. 7 pulls from a couple of different clusters. So it's a little bit more out of alignment. but we think the upside of this is that it does correspond more to this kind of community along Nolensville and I-24. So this one's a little bit different in terms of alignment with clusters, but to us, there's a strong community rationale for that we'd love to hear feedback on.
Well, the political dynamics are that if things go as I think they will, there will be a significant emphasis on public education in the Southeast Nashville area, which is the Cane Ridge cluster, the Antioch cluster, and Ms. Peters.
Glencliff.
You could probably express this better than I can, because public education is the critical component to the success of our communities, and it would be helpful to ensure that we focus politically, socially, economically upon the areas in need. And I, looking at the data, I know that our communities in Southeast Nashville are in need.
No, absolutely. And Mr. Claxton, the planning part, has done a great job of doing a better job of aligning the clusters. The academic clusters do not correlate with the voting clusters just because it's an academic metrics that we use to make it. And it's a little frustrating, I know, as voters, because you may be in a Mike Smith, like I represent Smith Springs, and it feeds into Cane Ridge. And so I know sometimes that could be a little different, but we did express that to the Planning Commission. Mr. Claxton's team did a much better job in the past of aligning it. And it's hard because we can't ideally do it for logistical reasons and for demographic reasons. And so we are trying to be very thoughtful for it, but there has been a lot of growth in the Southeast area. We know that, and we as a board are really trying to help redirect resources to that. Now we're starting to get more funding, and we're working with council to communicate those needs a little better. But as we come out of the pandemic, we really do hear your concerns about the overgrowth, the population, the overcapacity of some of the schools, and how can we really start putting some real measures to alleviate that. And this is the beginning of that process. So it's complicated, it's a little difficult, it's not ideal, but it's much better than it has been in the past. So I would like to recognize the planning department for having that very difficult job of aligning academics with political, which is not always ideal given the census tracts and the natural dismigration pattern of Davidson County over the last 10 years.
Thank you, Ms. Peters and Mr. Claxton. I appreciate that.
Greg, I have one other question, and you may have, I know you've heard this before. So going back to the new districts, how they're all moved around, what thought did you all give to, or did you, to just renumbering them so that they make better sense? Because they are like all over the place and it's so confusing.
Mm-hmm. It's something we've kind of took a look at in 2011 when District 4 moved from north of the river to kind of the county line. They kept it. One of the things we do hear from time to time is people do form a sense of association with their council district numbers. That said, kind of as districts have moved around in the past, they have renumbered. We tend to do it to, like right now, we have tended to not renumber to minimize confusion. So people aren't tracking kind of the changing number as well as the changing district. That may be kind of as we get closer to planning commission and we settle in on a specific map, we may shift and renumber once people have a sense of where have all of the parts moved to.
Okay, thank you. It is now 8 after 7. Yeah, well, 9 after 7. Anyone who has not had a chance to ask a question or make a comment, would you like to, for the last minute or so before we go, ask a question about this or make a comment about the changing of the district and the redrawing of the lines?
I think Laura has her hand up.
I think she didn't take it down.
Oh.
Is that a new, because she just finished talking a few minutes ago. Was that a new hand, Laura? I think she hadn't taken it
No,
down.
that was my old hand. I'm an old hand. What can I tell you?
Anybody else? Alma? Any of the other names that I see? They're covered up. I can't see the other names now. All right, if in the future you want to have another meeting with planning, please email me and let me know, or specifically any things that weren't covered in today's meeting. We usually have meetings with developers, but at least quarterly, I try to have a meeting with the different departments so that we can actually talk about what is needed and find out where to go and get information for our district. So if you have some specific things that you want me to put on the agenda for the next district meeting like this, or some folks from the council office or from the Metro office or something in one of the divisions to come that were not at this, please email me at Lee, the number 4, the alphabet D, 33@gmail.com. That's Lee 4D33@gmail.com. And I will share that with Rosie, and we'll make sure to put that on the next agenda. I hope everybody is safe out there. Remember, try to be safe. We are still having an epidemic going on. And I hope all of you are well. And thank you so very much again for joining us at this meeting. Thank you, Rosie. You are number 1 always. Thank you, Rosie, for helping us get this together. All right, everyone have a good evening. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.